via SMS and WhatsApp 0703 175 6537. And that's how we get to have this conversation, looking across the various national dailies this morning and getting to talk about them. All right, let's start off now with the Punch newspapers. What would you find? Releasing Binance executive from custom risky. This is coming from the EFCC as it insists. High Commission to sanction workers barring Nigerians from Indian school. How Kwa saved residents from consuming poisonous beef. Ganduje gets 37 APC chairman's backing, says suspension African magic. Kaduna nurses, midwives abandon hospital over poor welfare. That's what you find on the Punch newspaper this morning. On the Vanguard newspaper, Lagos commercial drivers protest lockup of park. State police, Ehindero says it's desirable, warns of abuse. 150 million naira bribery allegation. Transferred fund part payment of debt owed Summit Oil, lawyer tells court. Lecturer killed by kidnappers. We've informed his family. Babcock management. Okwama Ewu. Community declares 17 soldiers killed along Focados River. On the Guardian newspaper, EFCC intensifies manhunt for Bello, detains Sirika, freezes 300 accounts. Ganduje summons Ayedatiwa, 15 Guba aspirants over Ondo APC primary outreach. Outrage, I mean. Anxiety as Ihedioha, others quit PDP, court sacks Emo party chairman. NPCC seeks quick implementation of single window project. Man nabbed for defiling landlady's 13-year-old daughter in Rivers. Well, that's a story that you get to find on the Guardian newspaper this morning. Over to the Nation newspaper. Ekiti excited over NERC's nod to generate power. My view on state police personnel, says Egbetokun. EFCC in fresh charge. Emefiele printed 684.5 million naira with 18.9 billion naira. World Book Copyright Day. NCC honors Shoinka with year-long campaign. Federal government appoints new consulates general for US, South Africa, Germany, others. That's what you find on the Nation newspaper this morning. You can keep your comments coming in as well as your reactions to any of the stories that we've analyzed. Of course, we are going to be analyzing that the stories with our analysts this morning, and also we would like to get your contributions, your perspectives to the various newspaper headlines this morning. Now, let's take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. What will you find? Dangote reduces diesel. Oh, yes, on the Daily Trust newspaper, Dangote reduces diesel price to 940 naira, sells aviation fuel for 980 naira. Windstorm destroys houses in Unijust staff quarters. Lagos, FRSC records 111 road crashes, 17 deaths in 3 months. Bandits shoot headers, rustle 360 cows in Kaduna. Police arrest another suspect over kidnap of Kwara lawmaker's wife, kids. On this day newspaper, which is what we're going to be looking at this morning, recapitalization will boost banks lending to real sector, says CIBN president. And still right here, Oborevori, functional refineries can solve Nigeria's forex crisis. BPE seeks NLC's collaboration on privatization. Ekiti joins Enugu, emerges second state to float own electricity regulatory body. Former Ambassadors College student bags $3.5 million scholarship to 14 top varsities. And now we'll take a look at the bench pushing newspaper this morning. What exactly will you find? Fraudsters hijack WhatsApp telephone contact of former Executive Secretary Nigeria Press Council to dupe innocent people. Fear of journalists prevent me from honoring anti-crimes investigation. This is coming from Yahaya Bello, as he tells the commission. Well, these are all the headlines that you find this morning on the various newspapers. So you do well to grab a copy of any of them and get to read expressly what you get to find, and also have better points when you're arguing in your various locations this morning. But take note that you can actually be part of the conversation right here on Women Radio 91.7. You can get to calling to react to any of the stories via our phone lines 07000 917 917, or send a text or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537, and we get to hear from you this morning. Of course, we'll have our analysts join us shortly as we get to review some of these stories that we're making highlights on, getting to look into them, having our expert analysis of the stories, and also having you be part of the conversation while we are on the newspaper review this morning. Of course, there are several stories. We'll look into Yahaya Bello's story, which is actually making the headlines across various newspapers. We'll also look into the killing of the lecturer in Babcock, which is actually a very, very sad incident. And as well, this morning we'll also look at some stories, especially this particular one that was also trending on the on social media, especially on X. And this one is the High Commission to sanction workers barring Nigerians from Indian school, as well as some updates from Okwama Ewu. Of course, the community declares 17 soldiers killed along Forcados River. So these are some of the updates that we're going to be having this morning, and we get to discuss them right here on Women Radio 91.7. So we'll take a look at this particular one here, and this is the most actually highlighted story. Everyone talking about this, and that is because it concerns the governor, the former governor of Kogi State. We're talking about Yahaya Bello and his interaction with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, who had actually been waiting for his appearance from hiding to defend corruption allegations leveled against him. And of course, the chairman of the nation's anti-graft body, we're talking about Ola Olukoyede, yesterday disclosed that there was, this revelation, which is actually something that as citizens we get to ask ourselves: what happens when we're having our governors, when we're having them in power? What are their resolutions when they come into power? Are they really coming to take over power and make sure that the needs of the people are met, or are they, in essence, only there for some sort of selfish interest? But then also we get to see this happen oftentimes, and that's the fact that once a governor is out of office, there is that place of ensuring that there are investigations into how his office had been run under his administration, because for the most part the coming governor, which often comes over to take over after the elections, has to take and follow up from what has been done previously by the previous governor. And so when there are a bit of disparity, I would say that most time these governors ensure that they come in and on board to ensure that they make the state of affairs clear to the populace. So we have someone like Uba Sani coming out to say, I inherited huge debt. We see this with the president as well. They come out to say, oh, this was the state of affairs during the former administration. This is what we're getting to work with. This is exactly what is in the nation's account or the state account. All of these measures are done to clarify. And while, of course, Nigerians will say, well, maybe we're not having enough governors who are transparent. We're not having enough governors who are, forthright with exactly how they run the state during their administration. Some of these things get to be topical issues. Now, I said yesterday, the EFCC boss, we're talking about Ola Olukayode, actually came out to disclose the fact that the embattled ex-governor transferred $720,000 from the state government's coffers to a bureau de change, that's a BDC, before leaving office to pay in advance his child's school fees. And when we get to see stories of this nature, this sort of revelation, some people would say, well, miracle is not a new thing. It's not new. I mean, it's just that this particular governor, the governor of Kogi State, has his issue out in the public. But it's not exactly a new thing. There might actually be cases of this nature that have occurred before time. And yet, we do not get all of these cases out in the open. Maybe some would say, depending on who exactly is administrating the FCC or who exactly is deciding to cover up some of these, misconducts. Well, some will say, well, possibly there is a sort of, workings on the inside that is covering and protecting some governors from being prosecuted for various crimes, from being arrested, from being investigated. And some of the people would say, well, maybe it's some level of witch hunting that has put Yahaya Bello in the front line. But let's not leave out the fact that it is important that our governors, whether or not they were involved in any, corruption activities, are supposed to be checkmated. Their offices are expected to be looked into. There should not be that immunity. And I believe that a lot of people would agree with me that it is imperative that we get to look at what our governors do while in office. Now, this particular disclosure right here, $720,000. And if you didn't get to, watch that particular video by the EFCC boss, you get to see that he was actually really, really expressive. He said a lot of things. He was disappointed. He says, I'm going to make sure that I get to the root of this because it doesn't tell well about the presidency. I mean, I'm talking about the former governor. And of course, why exactly should he be hiding from giving, the journalists or giving the EFCC the opportunity to get to investigate further? And I'd like for you to just listen to, just a brief excerpt from what the EFCC boss had to say as of yesterday.
I also like to report to us that we will continue our work toward the stimulation of the economy, and I promise you that we observe due process in doing whatever we do. Do you know the Binance case we are currently handling now? I mean, working on that has helped us to bring down this madness going on in the forex market. Suddenly, we discovered that there are even people within the system who are doing worse than Binance. We call them the P2P and all of that. If you notice, in the last 42 days ago, the dollar had started appreciating again. Maybe you didn't notice that. There was stability for 24 hours. Then the Naira got devalued again by about 20-25 Naira. I don't know whether you noticed that. Yeah. It was due to activities of some of these guys on P2P platform. KuCoin. Some of you must have seen those posts on social media. To shock you. Just yesterday, I had cause to freeze over 300 accounts. One of those accounts, we discovered that the guy that traded a volume of over 50 billion in the last 1 year. Nobody knew outside the financial regulations. See, this work is a serious work. We are here working 18 hours. These are my people. 18 hours. I'm so passionate about it. dictate for us to move forward in this country. A sitting governor, because he knows he's going, you move money. I mean, the particulars of offense is there. It's before court. Go and check it. Apply for our processes, please. You will get some of these particulars of offense there. Move money directly from government to bring the change. Use it to pay the child's school fee in advance. In advance, dollars. How much? 71.
Total is over almost 800.
In dollars, yes. In dollars. $72,000. $720,000, sorry. $720,000 in advance. In anticipating that he was going to leave government house. In a poor state like Kogi. And you want me to close my eyes to that? Under the guise of saying I'm being used by who? At this stage of my life, just by who? By who? For crying out loud. I assumed office here. I didn't initiate the case. I inherited the case file. I called for the case file. I called for the report. And I said, look, there are issues here. Do you know on my honor, I put a call across to him, which ordinarily I'm not supposed to do. Just to honor him as a governor, as a immediate past governor. Sir, there are issues. I've seen this case file. Can you just come? Let us clarify these issues. I'm under camera. He said, sir, I thank you, my brother. I know, but I can't come. There's one lady, I don't know what her name is, maybe a senate, that she learned she had set, she has surrounded the EFCC with over 100 journalists, to come and embarrass him and intimidate him and all kind of stuff. I said, okay, if that is your fear, I'm going to pass you through my own gate, special man's gate. You will come to my floor. We will accord you that respect. I will invite my operatives. They will come and interrogate you or interview in my own office. What could be more honorable than that? In my own office. To allay the fear. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You know what he said? But can't they come to my village? That's what he told me. Can't they come to my village to come and say, I told you. He also got to talk, he sent a message to him. My director of the investigation sent a message to him. Some people say we are handling him, we are harassed. How about? Let's be fair on this. Look, we need the FCC. We need this institution to survive. We need this institution to survive. I'm telling you. So many victims that we have wiped tears off their eyes. People that they have swindled and all of that in their millions. How much are we going to say? Every day we keep recovering money for victims. Every day. In my 6 months, we have recovered close to 120 billion.
Well, you heard it right there from the EFCC boss, Ola Olukoyede, expressing exactly the process it had to take him to even try to reach out to the former governor of Kogi State. And getting to, listen to everything that he had actually said, it's quite sad to actually think that a former governor would set aside $720,000. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at this amount. For instance, let's look at how this amount would have been beneficial to the state. Let's talk about infrastructure in the state. Let's talk about the payment of pensions as well. Let's talk about the payment of salaries for state workers. What has that been so far? Where exactly would this money have gone? A governor sets aside such amount of money to pay for his child's school fees in advance. What does this say about the attitude of those we have elected into office with the hope that they would be able to meet the needs of the people? Well, of course, it's still a case that is ongoing. And the agency, the EFCC, they have vowed actually the EFCC chairman says he has vowed to, resign from his position if Bello is not prosecuted. The agency is also seeking to arraign Bello on 19 counts bordering on alleged money laundering, breach of trust, and misappropriation of funds to the tune of 80.2 billion naira. Well, of course, responding, the former governor of the state, talking about Yahaya Bello, who had since last Thursday been declared wanted, accused the EFCC of lying over claims that it was not harassing him, saying contrary to claims of the EFCC, official records and court documents showed how the EFCC lied and hounded him. Really interesting times we are in Nigeria. But let's get to know exactly what you think about this particular development. Also, this revelation by the EFCC boss concerning the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Let's get to hear from you. 07000 07000 You can equally leave a WhatsApp message with us this morning on 0703 1756537. If you've just joined us, this is the newspaper review on Women Radio 91.7, and I am Miracle Phillip. We have a couple of messages that have come in this morning on our WhatsApp line as well as our normal SMS line, and I'll take this particular one here. This is coming from Namdi Oye Ogba, all the way from Ogba. And his message goes this way: Good morning, presenter. God bless you. On deceit and repentant or surrendered armed bandits, please, the federal government and chief security officers of the Federation should stop releasing surrendered kidnappers, armed bandits from detention because these heartless people are terrorists. No mercy for manslaughters and no country in this world there's no country in this world where repentant terrorists are being pardoned and released from any detention free, except only Nigeria, which is not good for this country. After all, many Nigerians that commit hideous crimes or atrocity in other countries in this world, especially in the Far East Asian nations, are being sentenced to death by firing squad at stake opening. Any security personnel that judges in favor of armed bandits, kidnappers, are encouraging terrorist killings in this country and also are enemies of all Nigerians. All the repentant gunmen or kidnappers are deceiving Nigeria's security personnel. Well, thank you very much for your message this morning, Namdi Oye, all the way from Ogba. This one here is coming from Olushoga Ajayi from Ikorodu says, when you tell the serving governors abusing their executive powers to tread with caution because there's a different life after power, many of them will ignore you, subsumed by the hubris that they are superhuman. Power is transient. Yahaya Bello needs to be prosecuted. Thank you very much, Olushaga Ajayi, for your comment this morning. And one exactly will get to look at this in totality and ask the question of, don't these governors know that when they come out from office there would definitely be investigations? So why stress yourself? Why allow yourself to be dragged to the mud on the grounds of corruption, which could also include money laundering? So why allow this to even happen in the first place? Well, they say it's all about power. And most likely, when you get into power, you forget about some of your values and some of your standards. But that's exactly why we will be having Nkechi Liade Sage now joining us this morning, look into this particular issue as it's deep into the value systems in the country and in our society as a whole. This is coming from Martins Juru, aka Mayor from Ikotuigbe. It says, good morning to you in the studio. The EFCC and Yahaya Bello drama is laughable. Interesting. Truth be told, former EFCC boss Nuhu Ribadu once said 90% of our so-called rulers, both past and present, are in the EFCC corruption list. Yahaya Bello is being chased now because he is not in the good book of the president. In fact, most of them are even worse than Yahaya Bello. Everything in Nigeria has been hijacked by these wicked politicians. Well, I don't blame them because even we, the citizens, are not helping matters at all. I don't see how the poor once are once the poor ones are protesting for him. What a shame. Thank you very much for your message, Mayor, all the way from Ikotunigwe. And this here is coming from Rosenje Olawale Matiu from Alakwere. It says, good morning, dear presenter. Now the Dangote refinery is yielding positive results. We have former President Muhammad Buhari and his cabinet members to thank for creating an enabling environment for the company. All the ministers diluted under the President Muhammad Buhari administration should be called for questioning and be prosecuted according to the laws of the land. After Hadi Sirika, Malami should be invited and probed accordingly. Bad followers will never produce good leaders. Nigeria will survive. Allah bless Nigeria. Thank you very much, Rosanjay Olawale, for your contribution this morning. Let's get to hear more from you. 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. We have a call right here. Okay, we seem to have missed that particular call, but you can do well to call us back this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, do want to call us back as we will get to receive your call and your contribution and your perspective on the stories we're looking into this morning. 07000 917 917. Or you can send a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, you can do well to reach back to us this morning. But also, just to let you know that we will be joined shortly by Nkechi Emmanuel Liade. Yes, she will be joining us this morning as we get to discuss more on what we have on the various papers. Hello, good morning. 07000 917 917 917. You can do well to drop a WhatsApp message with us on our line, and that is a WhatsApp message or an SMS to 0703 175 6537. We have another message here. This one says, good morning, dear presenter. Bullying is at its worst in government schools, most especially boarding schools. Government won't shut down government schools, but will be quick to shut down private schools at any given excuse until the root causes of bullying, which are bad parenting, at any given excuse. Until the root cause of bullying, which are bad parenting, peer pressure, amongst others, are addressed, it will continue to rear its ugly head in both private and government schools. Bad followers will never produce good leaders. Nigeria will survive. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Miracle. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Tunde coming from Lagos. Tunde coming from Lagos.
All right.
Tunde coming from Lagos.
You're welcome. Tunde.
Okay, I guess you are. I guess you are standing on duty today. Now only you are welcome as they also say. Okay, just let me just comment on what this whole Belu saga. I think I'm gonna give kudos to the AFCC boss. You know, no matter what kind of region or whatsoever, I mean, he's trying really. I mean, for him to go after Yaya Bello and then add this figure, who all of us have always wanted him to go after sincerely. You know, but these are not just the only ones. There are many others, especially that former administration, Buhari's administration, that he needs to go after. But I must say kudos to him sincerely. He's trying. You know, we must not go into all this talk of whether it's a maturity or whatever. If he's committed no crime, he's able to stand before them, the anti-graft agency, and say, yes, I've done nothing wrong. But it's when you have skeletons in your cupboard that you start running on around or start hiding. Why would he have to hide? Let him go present himself and defend himself. Simple. You know, so you have no right to defend such people. You understand? And there are many of the others. Most of us are probably part of them. There are many of them in this present government too. But I've done the same. That has done worse than Yabin has done. So he needs to go after all of them. But I guess it's one by one. It's turn by turn. You know, we will all face the music we find. We will all and we should keep, you know, especially journalists, you know, until they are brought to book, until all of them are brought to book sincerely. Because we need to retrieve all the money, all the stolen money back. And the whole country was stolen blind. During this last administration, for his administration, So it's kudos to him sincerely. Kudos to him. Kudos to him. Well done, Miracle. Let me don't take much of your time.
All
Well done.
right.
Have a wonderful day.
And you too. Thank you so
Okay.
much for calling in Tunde this morning, all the way from Lagos. Let's get to hear from you this morning. 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. You can equally send a text or a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. We have joining us this morning Nkechi Emmanuel Layode Sageno. Good morning to you, Sageno. Glad to have you. Good morning, Sageno. Okay, Sageno, could you unmute your mic? All right. While we're still trying to connect with Sage Now this morning, you can continue to be part of the conversation, reacting to any of the stories on the various newspapers this morning, 07000 917 917, or you can send a text or WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. We got to look into the story and, of course, the latest development on the manhunt by the EFCC on Bello, Yahaya Bello, the former governor of Kogi State, as well as Sirika, and also the update by the EFCC that it has freezed 300 accounts. And these are the things that we get to see in the nation. We would actually get to say that it is applaudable because the EFCC stands as an anti graft corruption body, saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that some of these corruption allegations and some of these corruption cases are nipped in the bud. And yes, we can actually say that this is a step in the right direction by the EFCC boss, Ola Olukayode. Of course, there are speculations, there are reasons to ask the question of whether this is something that will cut across to other political figureheads, political individuals, other former governors, other heads of parastatals as well, whether these investigations will also get through to them. What is most important is that we are able to hold our leaders accountable. We are able to ask them the necessary questions. We are able to investigate. We are able to have them defend how they have been able to deliver on their responsibilities as governors and as heads of their various states. And so, right now, we'll get into our other story. And this one here is, an update from the High Commission to sanction workers barring Nigerians from Indian school. Now, the Indian High Commission in Nigeria has vowed to sanction the workers at the Indian Language School in Ilupeju, Lagos, who had actually refused, of course, this is coming from the Punch newspaper, correspondent access to the school facilities for inquiries. Now, following online reports that the school was not admitting or welcoming Nigerians on its premises, a correspondent had actually proceeded to the school to investigate the claims. And while reacting, of course, to the post on Sunday by an ex user bordering on discrimination against Nigerians at an Abuja based Chinese store, an ex user also shared his experience about the Lagos Indian school. And this was exactly what the ex user had to say. He said that the Indian school in Ilupeju only admits Indians, and you need an Indian passport for enrollment. Equally, also, the user actually said that his experience with the Indian International School in Ilupeju dates back to when his school had a debate competition with them in 2009. And he discovered that there were only Indian students. He was curious to ask why the school, his own school, which was also an international school and run by a foreign embassy with primarily expatriate kids and few Nigerians. Then he was also informed that his passport that's the passport of the Indian country was a prerequisite for admission. Now, a correspondent of Punch newspaper had actually visited the school on Monday, but he was denied entry by security officials who claimed to be acting on the instructions of a receptionist. And of course, responding to this particular query, this news that made the round on Tuesday, as of yesterday, the press officer of the Indian High Commission in Abuja, Vipul Mesaria, said the commission was shocked by the experience of the reporter. Now, when we get to look at some of these cases, often, especially when we get to hear cases of discrimination across board, and then discrimination in Nigeria, that can actually point in a very bad light. And then having to hear, the press officer say he's shocked by the development, he is not aware. What does it say about our attitude as Nigerians to cases of this nature? Why exactly should such discriminations exist in a country that is actually even harboring, being accommodating to other nations of the earth? Well, we have Nkechi Emmanuel Layade Sage now, who is joining us this morning. Good morning, Nkechi. Glad to have you.
Good morning, Miracle. Thank you for having me. I just want to let you know that I'm having a lot of difficulties hearing you,
Okay.
but if we can manage through, like you are breaking in between, so I'm hardly hearing what you're saying.
Oh,
But
apologies for
let's
that.
see if it will get better. Well, thank you for having me this morning, and good morning to our newspaper review family.
Oh, thank you so much for joining in this morning.
Thank you.
So, previously, we were actually looking at the story, the update from the EFCC concerning the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, and the fact that the EFCC boss had revealed that a total sum of about $720,000 had been taken off from the state governor's coffers before leaving office to pay in advance for his child's school fees. I knew that if I get to highlight this point, it will be something that's bearing upon what you often stand for whenever you are
Mm,
on, the newspaper review. The attitude of
mm.
our political leaders, the mindset they have before going into office. Why do we have to have a former governor take out such amount of money when we have people who are suffering in the state, when we have basic amenities that are not being met? How many local government areas are in the state? How many of them have been able to feel the state might? I'm not talking about federal might now, state might. How many have been able
Mm.
to be impacted by his administration while he was in office? And he stockpiled some money to pay his child's school fees in advance.
So thank you so much, Miracle, for bringing up this. Well, it happens to be on these papers, but at least asking the question this way, that is really dear to my heart. I usually speak from one angle that everybody already knows, core values and all that. I'll pause on that first, and I want to bring it from this angle. To answer your question straight up, why did this guy basically grab, it was like a buffet, eat all you can. So he's trying to eat all he can while he can,
Mm.
when he was, of course, in power. And then now the whole thing is shamelessly going around, shamefully rather, going around. I don't know if he's shameful or shameless about it. I haven't spoken with him personally, but it's quite a shame that this kind of conversation is going on. One of the very core that I have seen through studying, researching, watching, observing Miracle is that we need to learn to treat people equally
Mm.
in our land. That's why we say, oh, Senior, how does that correlate? If this man doesn't think that is going to be treated or is going to receive certain kind of special treatment or is going to be seen in a different light, if he acts the way that he acts, one, I'm not saying that that is now an excuse, but we are not going to have people hustling for power in that sense. So one of the reasons why you see a lot of these nobodies, and I say a lot of them nobodies who come into office and now try to force themselves into people's throats without even doing anything, because
Mm.
you don't need to force yourself if you are going to deliver value. There's no need to force it. But you see, there's a lot of forcing through rigging. Then you get there, you can't even do anything because you want to be seen as powerful. You want to be seen as prestigious. You want to be seen as XYZ, but you don't want to work for it, or you don't want to serve your way into being seen as that person. And so, what's the next best thing to do? To steal. I hope we know that When this person takes his child to the whatever school he's taking the child to, or all the cars this person has bought with stolen money, the more this person buys this thing, the more he knows that he's gaining respect in the eyes of people. Like, oh wow, look at this man is just
Mm,
so rich.
mm,
This man is look at the great things he's doing. Wow, he's so powerful, Babani, all of those things that people say. And so we ourselves as a society, we need to start doing away with such. When you see things happening with a person, we need to start investigating. So what work are you doing?
mm,
Those are the things we need to put forward. I'm saying it because in as much as we want to, and I know it has been going around the conversation through the past through last week. And I don't want to repeat what many have already said. But this angle is an angle that many people have not looked at, because they always want to point the finger. It's popular saying, oh, when you point one finger at others, the remaining four is pointing back to you. We have to look at this critically and think about it in our society. In what way are we enabling this rubbish? We continue to uplift and uphold those who just show power without any proof, rather than us uplifting those who are showing power through the power of service. So that's one thing I want us to think about before we get so agitated. In what way have you done it? You yourself, you're listening to us right now. In what way have you tried to just get somebody or uphold someone who you don't even know how they got what it is that they
mm.
got? And this is not to go around being suspicious, saying, oh, if you see somebody that is rich, you're not saying, well, how did this person get the funds? That's not necessarily what I'm saying. But we need to be concerned and we need to be responsible by also being concerned about how other people are responsible. And then the other one I would say before I maybe give the mic back to you is the same. When political, my second point is when political office is made like a retirement plan. It is
Mm.
made like a plan for eat all you can and
Wow,
you
you
don't have
can.
to pay.
Mm,
When you make it like a buffet office, so of course you're going to get thieves and frauds and thugs into the place. So we have been advocating, we've been having this conversation for a while to say, make this office much more like an office of servanthood. And what are the things that should be aligned to make it look like this is an office of service? It's not an office to come and jai.
mm,
There are certain unnecessary things that should be cut back, and maybe some other things that I want to look at. Do we want to say people should continue their business while in office so that they're not bulging their eyes? Because I know there's this thing of you have to stop everything you're doing and all that. I don't know how concrete that is. Anybody can feel free to correct
mm,
or to cross-check that. But we need to now revisit. This is 2020 because that's how it was in 1988, but
mm.
it's not serving us. So we need to check, what do we need to do in our nation to move forward? Because Miracle, until we adjust that, you are not going to get serious minded people that want to go in there. I mean, majority. There are serious minded people that are going in there, they are trying, but majority of people just like retirement plan, policy. Okay, so when I finish working in this, so I will not go into politics. But what the person is trying to say, so that's now my retirement plan to get money. And that's what a lot of people do. They work in different places, then they're like, hey, I'm 50 now, so which office must I enter? Rather than you say, oh, what contribute? It must be, what must I contribute? It's not which office must I enter as part of my retirement plan? So all of these things are things we need to rework from the policy level. But until we do that, we're just going to keep having these conversations in different ways.
Well, thank you very much, Signal, for really just giving us that brief on that particular issue. Let's take this particular call now. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Miracle.
Good morning. What's your name and where you calling from?
Uh, you refused to prophesy this morning, but we'll take it back. Instead of prophesying, you gave us a long night.
Okay.
This is Mr. P.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. P.
Good morning. Good morning, analyst.
Mm,
I want to come in this way.
okay.
You know,
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Nigeria is a very large country,
Mm,
brought together mistakenly by some foreigners just to get what we have
mm,
or what we had, because the majority of what we had was taken away and developed other nations. I want us to look at this from this angle. As we are now, the population of this nation, how many are educated?
Hmm.
Okay, I'm looking at education in terms of citizenship, responsibility, obligations,
Hmm.
and so on. Even those of us that claim to go to school, we went to school and came back only to have the paper certificate. Are you getting it?
Yes, please.
I looked at the video of people that protested yesterday in solidarity with Bello. He was by state governor. Because of him, I lost my job as a lecturer at Kogi State University.
Hmm.
Okay. Some of us resigned. They didn't. Let's look at this. How many of those youth who carry those placards are really educated? Are you getting me?
Hmm.
Who paid them to do what they did?
Hmm.
How much were they paid? From which person's account was that money? Because that was not ordinary.
Hmm.
Even the poorest of the poor in Kogi State, they don't understand language. Not to even talk of coming to Abuja City to come and protest for a past governor who is rude with some allegations. So somebody might have done something with some cash
All right.
to bring such population to do that.
Hmm.
Somebody might have printed these banners to do that. So who educated them? What kind of education or orientation were they giving to come out? What was the motivation behind that protest?
Mhm.
Is anybody asking that question? And
Hmm.
the amount of populace in Nigeria, let me ask Nigerians listening, what is the level of your education? What is the level of should I call it patriotism?
Hmm.
Should I call it your love for the nation? If at all we must be one, if at all we want to do one, what is your patriotism? What is your contribution?
Hmm.
I will drop the mic here.
All
You
right.
have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you very much, Mr. P. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. You highlighted something really important about the level of education in the country, and the fact that some Nigerians, obviously from Kogi State, actually came out to protest. I mean, Sejno, let's look at this. The EFCC comes out to say Yahaya Bello is wanted, for corruption allegations, charges. It has evidence to support this, and then still some Kogi State, individuals, residents, citizens come out to protest that, the governor is being dehumanized, obviously protesting for his release. Now, Sage, now what does this say about the society that we are in? Because I mean, every time when we get to see corrupt officials, or we get to see high political heads that may be embezzling some money while they are in office, we get to shout about it. We get to cry about it. We get to say, why do we have these sort of people in office taking advantage of their office rather than serving the populace? But when we now see the people who are supposed to hold the government accountable coming out to say, no, EFCC, don't do your job, doesn't this say how farly degraded the society is?
Well, yes. And that's the reality of what we have on ground. As much as possible, because of my experience on radio with grassroots Nigerians, I
Mm.
try to let people know when certain conversations are happening on social media that because you have 1 million followers on social media, a lot of them from other African countries and a lot of them from Nigerian diaspora, doesn't mean that mentality are really being shaped based on these grassroots people
Hmm.
that actually become terrors when it
Mhm.
comes to us moving forward.
Mm.
And so I advise that we all have our different assignment, but I usually would say, and thank God for the radio and radio programs like this and other radio houses as well. I usually would say we've got to be intentional about what orientation and education is going through. I didn't really hear because of the whole
Okay.
issue, I think,
Okay.
hearing issue, but I
Mm.
think from what you summarized from what our caller said, the whole thing about education for me it's not even just, of course there's the tertiary education which is important, really important, in
Mm.
fact much more than people know, because nowadays the way people are jamming English, but that's a different conversation entirely. But I'm talking about just the renewing of your mind. Who are you as a person? Why are you important? Miracle, some people do not think that they are important.
Mm.
They do not think that they have a life. They do not think that they have a purpose. And they do not think that there is meaning outside of Togri. as as unbelievable as this thing that I'm sharing sounds, this is the reality of many people. But every time we have this conversation and we talk about this mind renewal and we talk about this reorientation of people, of getting people to be nationally loyal to the right things with core values and conviction, we cannot eliminate the place of poverty.
Mm.
Who is the person that's going to come out with a cutlass and with it and be shouting? What was that song that they were even chanting? Is it the person that is trying to concentrate on building a startup? Or is
Mm.
it a person that is trying to solve problems in their community? Or is it a person that is trying to help widows and widowers? Or is it a person that is trying to build a community to help people get married? Who is the person? Do
Mm.
you think a busy person is going to come out to be shouting, we no go, or whatever? Is the person that has not eaten. It's somebody that's not eating that is going to have time to run around. Even the people who are loyal to this particular man, Yahya Bello, and are in elite position, they will not, they can press buttons another way, but you won't see them on the road.
Mm.
The people usually on the road are the ones that have not eaten, that know that once they make noise like this, something is going to get into our accounts. So at the end of the day, this weaponization of poverty is something we have to solve, a miracle.
Mm.
And men, of course, word on the streets and the frustration of many Nigerians is that it doesn't want to be solved, because you know that when you solve this weaponization of poverty, you're not going to find people to be jumping around
Yes.
aimlessly, because people are
Mm.
going to be busy building their lives. Are you still with me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, of course. We can hear
Okay,
you
okay,
loud and
yes.
clear.
People are going to be busy building their lives, like for real. We're not even joking. You're going to see less people hanging, loitering the streets, like people who are jobless. But you have a lot of jobless people. All you need to do is, where can you rent them? Where can you? Okay, Ishewa. Okay, there's work. Let's just gather. How much? How much? There are people like that. If you go out, if you go to certain places now, just tell them, how much. They don't want to know how much we drop into their XYZ
Mm-hmm.
accounts. The one with their phone number, and they'll follow you to go and do whatever. So when we work on the poverty, then the education, then we now have that orientation thing I've been talking about. That's where is Nigeria headed, our
Mm.
vision, our core values, conviction. We can now even get started. But you see, sometimes, Miracle, as an analyst, I get frustrated because it looks as if a lot of times we are sharing these things, and it just looks as if sometimes, I'm not saying all the times,
Mm.
sometimes the more we share it, it looks as if the farther we are getting
Mm.
from this. I've had to tell America at one point, I've had to, maybe yes, I mean, I've had to ask myself, do I want to continue analyzing on the show? Because it just looks as if how long and how far are we? But I came to a conviction by myself that we are not going to stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to stop talking. If voices like mine are not represented, then how are we going to see the change? Someday, one day, we're going to keep pushing. I know that the push has already started. Every effort counts. We may not see the results of the effort right now, but we'll keep pushing until we say, yes, it was years of effort, but this is where we currently are. But those are my submission on how we need to really get started.
Mm.
Of course, putting electricity by the very core right of what I'm talking about, because I don't know why we're busy with so many other things in this country when we've not even solved the basic problem.
Mm. Yes, solving the basic problems and also wiping out the weaponization of poverty. Thank you very much, Sage. Now, let's take a look at this particular comment right here. This is coming from Damien. It says, how did the EFCC boss get to know that the huge sum of money Yahaya Bello withdrew from government's purse was used to pay his children's school fees? Does it mean that Bello would be so selfish to reveal what the money is being used for? It could have been used for other means. In as much as I am not holding brief for Bello, I think the anti-graft boss is trying to take the issue personal and could indeed be perceived as witch hunting. Well, thank you very much, Damien. Let's get to hear from you. 07000 917 917. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Calling from Bariga.
Okay. What's your name, please?
Adonis Joe.
Please turn down the volume on your radio set, please.
Yes, I want to contribute to Yarabelo.
Okay, go ahead.
I believe what is happening through this matter is like it's a common thing for Nigeria.
Mm.
So I don't see the reason why we have to give this man a debt because many Nigerians, many official Nigerians are believing in getting our money, solve their problem, and not care about Nigerians. So I don't see any case that the man is wrong because if we have to open the file, we have to see so many people that have been taking money, Nigerian money, more than that. So that's my contribution. I don't see anything. Please,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much, Joe, for joining in. And that is why we get to have the EFCC function in the level that they do. Yes, maybe thousands and thousands of Nigerians and former political leaders and current political leaders are engaged in the same act. But bringing it to the fore and letting Nigerians know that the committee, the institution is working and that these are wrong practices that should not be allowed to go on. And bringing it to book, bringing every individual to book is how we indeed have a better society. All right. This one is coming from Rosenjo Olawale from Alakwere. It says, good morning, dear presenter. Yahaya Bello should end this EFCC drama once and for all by showing up for questioning. It's very true that there is almost no politician in this country that is not entangled with one corruption case or the other. Even their appointees are worse. Interesting. And the reason for that selfishness that has eaten deep in Nigeria, even outside the government, are vigorously doing their best to get into the government and have their share, which shows how bad mannered the 99.9% of the country's citizens are. Well, bad followers will never produce good leaders. Nigeria will survive. Thank you very much, Rosen J. And also, thank you very much, Sage Nell, as we get to wrap it up.
Yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to, we agreed that we're going to have a conversation one
Yes,
time on
yes.
the connection between dating, relationship, and marriage to nation building. There's a very critical and key connection. So that conversation is happening by 12 p.m. today. So
Yes.
for those who are interested, who listen to Esther and I talk about that, you can tune back into WFM by 12 p.m. today. I mean, even though there's no reason why you should be tuned out, but I just needed to get that, to share that, because I'll be back again by 12 to have that specialized conversation.
Absolutely. And
Thank
we
you for
cannot wait
having me.
to have you by 12. We cannot wait. It
Yes.
definitely will be
Thank you very
impactful.
much.
Thank you so much, Nkechi Emmanuel Layode, Saginaw, for joining us. And this is where we get to wrap it up on the newspaper review this morning. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for your SMS and WhatsApp message. Do well to stay tuned to Women Radio 91.7. Coming up by 9 will be the news on the hour, and at 9:05, Panorama continues. I am Miracle Phillip. Stay tuned.
Have you been a victim of corruption? Do you want to report how